Jaden Walker's passion for fishing was ingrained from his earliest memories. Since childhood, he eagerly embraced this hobby, accompanying his father to the local lake every weekend and holiday. Together, they would embark on tranquil fishing expeditions, seated in a small rowing boat, their fishing rods poised in anticipation of the day's catch. In his youth, Jaden's enthusiasm occasionally gave way to frustration when his efforts failed to yield a catch. He devoted considerable time and effort to mastering the art of angling, rising early and diligently honing his techniques. Thus, when success eluded him, he couldn't help but feel disheartened, as if his endeavors had been in vain. Yet, during moments of despondency, Jaden found solace in his father's unwavering support. With a reassuring presence, his father lifted his spirits, offering encouragement and reminding him of the intrinsic joys of the sport. The man would tell his son that sometimes the fish simply wouldn't be caught that day, and that, like in life, the best thing to do is to go home and try again the next day. The key to fishing and to a good life is simply patience, determination, and perseverance. And when all of these things come together, it would allow Jaden to do anything that he set his mind to. For a while, Jaden lived by his father's wise words. The young boy looked up to his dad and wanted to do everything he could to make him proud. One day, when Jaden was 10 years old, he and his father went to take a look a little further away from their usual spot, as they wanted to try to catch a rare fish that they had heard lived in that particular body of water. For the entire day, the two sat at the edge of the lake, waiting for the elusive rare fish to bite at their bait. Throughout the day, Jaden and his dad would move to different positions around the lake in the hope that the new spot would unearth the mysterious fish. Unfortunately, it didn't work, and apart from a few ordinary bluegills, the two came away empty-handed. For the next couple of weeks, Jaden and his dad returned to the new lake, determined to catch the rare fish that they had heard so much about. But each and every time, the two were unsuccessful. As time went by, Jaden's dad began to become obsessed with the mysterious fish. Any spare time that the man had, he would spend it at the lake with his fishing gear. At first, Jaden would be forced to go along with his father, as he was too young to look after himself. But as he got older, he began to go fishing less and less. On Jaden's 13th birthday, he had a group of his friends around the house. They were all playing a video game in the living room when all of a sudden, Jaden's father walked in, completely kitted out in all of his fishing gear. "Are you ready to go?" he asked his son. Embarrassed as his friends all thought that fishing was boring and an old man's hobby, Jaden got up and told his dad that he didn't want to go fishing that day. In fact, he never wanted to go fishing ever again. Disheartened, Jaden's father left the house and went to the lake by himself. Over the next few years, Jaden's dad would constantly ask his son if he would like to go fishing. Every weekend, the older man would get dressed in his fishing gear before asking Jaden if he would like to join him. However, every weekend he would get the same answer, that the young boy had much better things to be doing than sitting on the edge of a lake, freezing cold and smelling of bait, waiting to catch an imaginary creature. Dejected, Jaden's father would leave each time, feeling lonelier and lonelier. This continued for the next 5 years. During that time, Jaden became a proper teenager who would spend as much time as he could hanging out with his friends. His father saw less and less of his son, and could hardly recognize the person that the young boy had turned into. He was much moodier and would hardly share details about his day with his family. However, that all changed one fateful day when Jaden was 18 years old. It had started off like any other ordinary day. Jaden had woken up and headed off to his high school, ready to finally graduate in the coming weeks. His father had headed off to his work as a fisherman down at the local docks. It was something that the man had always dreamed of doing, and after working up the courage to do it, he had finally gotten the job with a local fishery a couple of years back. It was around lunchtime when things took a turn for the worse, though. Jaden was sitting with his friends, laughing and messing about, when all of a sudden he got a call from his mother. This was unusual, as she would normally text if she needed anything, such as supplies from the shop. Slightly concerned, he answered his phone, only to hear his mom crying on the other end of the line. She told Jaden that he needed to get to the hospital quickly, as his father had been in a terrible hit-and-run accident and was in critical condition. Not wasting any time, Jaden leaped to his feet and ran to his car. He drove to the hospital as fast as he could and rushed into his father's room. Sadly, despite the doctors trying everything they could, the man's injuries were just too severe, and he ended up passing away. Jaden and his mother were devastated. How could something like this happen, especially to one of the kindest men that they had ever known? Worse than that, though, Jaden felt as if he had hardly spent any time with his father throughout the last few years. Every time the man had asked Jaden to go fishing with him, or even to simply spend some time together, the young man had always told him no. The funeral came and went, and both Jaden and his mother couldn't stop their tears throughout the entire ceremony. For the next few months, Jaden didn't know what to do with himself. He felt as if an incredibly important part of himself was missing. One day, the young man decided to clear out some of the family's old items from the shed. As he searched through the old building, he suddenly came across his father's old fishing equipment. Astounded by his find, Jaden decided that he would go fishing at the lake that he and his father used to go to in search of the rare creature. Once at the usual spot that they would go to, Jaden set up his equipment and sat back to enjoy the scenery and the quiet while he was waiting for a bite on his rod. Jaden began to think about all of the time that he used to spend with his dad fishing in that very lake. Just as he was remembering one of his fondest memories, Jaden suddenly felt a tug on his fishing rod. He had caught something. The young man quickly began to reel the animal in, but it fought back just as much. Whatever was on the other end of the line was definitely big. After a few minutes of fighting with the fish, Jaden finally managed to pull it out of the water. However, when he saw what kind of fish it was, he began to cry bitterly. There on the other end of his rod was a burbot, one of the rarest and strangest fish that ever lived in the lake, and the one that he and his father had been searching for all that time. Although Jaden felt a pang of sadness due to his father's absence in that moment, he also experienced a profound sense of connection, stronger than he had felt in years. Finally accomplishing their shared goal after so long, Jaden couldn't shake the sensation that his father was right there beside him, beaming with pride at his achievement. From that day forward, Jaden devoted every weekend to fishing, honoring his father's memory and continuing their cherished tradition. When his own son came into the world, Jaden made it a priority to impart upon him the valuable skills passed down from his father. He understood that this was precisely what his dad would have wished for, ensuring that their family legacy lived on through the generations. What do you think of this old man's love for his puppy? Let us know in the comments section. I hope you liked this video. Please give it a thumbs up and share it with your loved ones. Also, press the bell icon to never miss the update from our channel. Thank you.